Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Velvet Lounge Live. I'm doing a live session on eBay today. The reason why is because I was watching another video and there were um, people, I guess, asking questions of this fellow who is testing out selling junk lots on eBay. So, as I listened to some rock and roll in the background, John Cougar Mellencamp, as we used to call him back in the day, is on right now. And I'm going to turn that down a little bit. But let's get right into it. So, selling junk lots is not a new thing, obviously, especially on eBay. I've seen them out there for, I don't even know, years. But the quality of the junk lots, what's in a junk lot, stuff like that has changed a little bit. People used to do mystery, which they still do. It's not as common, but they used to do mystery boxes, aka junk lots and leftovers, if you want to call it that. And so I think what happened is basically people are like, I want to know what's in the box. So yeah, there's some mystery boxes still out there, but mostly what you will find in that genre are junk lots. So what's a junk lot? A junk lot, honestly, is anything. So if you have a bunch of stuff that's left over, or maybe some people even put things in a junk lot that they've had for a while and they just never took the time to list them, or in most cases, it's just stuff that like each item might have a little bit of value, but it's not enough for going through an entire listing process, shipping process, customer service process, and let alone if you end up with a return. Like that wouldn't make any sense. So what happens is, I know for me anyway, and these are just my opinions. I'm not someone who's going to tell you what I do is right just because I've been doing it for years. So, I mean, whatever works for you, that's exactly what you should do. And if you have any ideas, please share. If you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. I'm not going to cry about it and do a ranting, raving video about it. It's totally fine. I always consider myself, as I've said before, a continuous learner. So, like I said, everything is just my opinion. So, what I do is, for example, costume jewelry, we come upon it by the ton many times. And I don't mean a literal 2,000 pound, like equivalent to a ton. What I mean is when I'm working on projects with people, it is not uncommon for me to walk away with a shopping bag full of costume jewelry or a jewelry box that's just full of all sorts of jewelry or boxes or whatever it is, or even it's just all over the place and it's collected. So what I do is one of my junk lots is costume jewelry. So, excuse me, this is a listing that I have for a costume jewelry lot. And what I do most of the time for costume jewelry anyway, is I will put postings out there or listings, if you will, on eBay. And in those listings, it will actually note if I have at that particular time more than one lot available. And the reason I do that as separate listings is one, it's just easier. So in this case, I had two lots available. And number two is as I come across enough costume jewelry to make a grab bag lot, as I call this, or a junk lot, is I actually already have a shipping box of open, and I line it with a plastic bag. And as I get, things that I think I'm not going to sell individually, I will just drop them right into that prepared box. One, it saves a lot of time, so you don't have to go like back and forth looking for stuff. And if you're going to put it in a box anyway, why not just prepare a box for shipping? And this is just where I definitely vary from other people, is most of the time my lots are, for junk jewelry lots anyway, are 8 pounds or more. So if it's over 8 pounds, then I'm going to charge at least a minimum of $55. If it's 8 pounds, or just even slightly over 8 pounds, then my charge is $44.99, plus I charge shipping and handling. So this is $12.95 for shipping and handling. Most people will give you free shipping on their junk lots or jewelry lots or whatever. I never do, because, as I've said in past videos, I mean, you're doing the work, you have to pay the shipping. People don't have an issue paying for shipping as long as they know how much they're going to have to pay. So as long as, the price is up front, it's right there. There's no problem with that. And why take on the extra expense if you don't have to? And also, I mean, there are other people out there selling some, doing junk lots or jewelry lots or whatever type of lots out there. So they do have other options if they don't like what you're doing. A lot of our customers for our junk lots and jewelry lots, we found, are repeat buyers, which is awesome. And anytime we have a new buyer, we love that. And usually we just add a few extra pieces, and I make it clear that those were extra pieces so that, we hopefully gain a new repeat buyer. And I don't know if that method has worked or not, but I know that we definitely have several repeat buyers for our junk lots and jewelry lots. So in this case, it's a bunch of mixed costume jewelry. Some of it is signed, some of it is unsigned. Obviously, the pieces that would sell really well on their own or are by famous designers or sought after designers, we don't put those into junk lots. However, I always try to make sure my junk lots are quality lots, at least as far as having, in an 8 pound package, you're probably going to get, 4 to 5, maybe even 6 items that are brand new, still in the package or on the jewelry cards. As far as signed pieces go, you're probably going to get, I would say maybe 15 to 20 of those. As far as broken craft type items, most of our items, thankfully, are wearable, and that's just luck, and it's just because of what we get from a project. But there are times, of course, where things are broken or need repair, or you have loose beads, or, you have a watch that's only the watch and no band. And we do include those in our junk lots also. But the thing that you want to do, obviously, is make sure your description is really clear, especially as to the condition, because you have people who will be like, oh, I expected all this stuff to be wearable. I expected to be able to resell it all, or whatever it is their expectations are. You never know. We're all human. But I always note the approximate percentage of how much of it is wearable versus how much of it is not. And then, I always note that because most likely when we ship these boxes out, of course, we've sorted through everything. That's not a secret. In any listing I see where the person's like, unsorted, not searched, that is, I'm just going to say it, it's a lie. I don't believe it. I don't know why anyone would believe it. You know, it's not even necessary to put that in your listing. I think any that was funny, rational person is going to know that, of course, like, these items have been searched. Like, what if you had, you know, 18 grams of gold in there? Like, are you saying you're just throwing it in the box and you didn't check? I don't think anyone would believe that. But what I will do sometimes, if I have some of my, like, I would call them higher value junk lots, and I haven't had any of those in a while. But what I will do with those, of course, is price them accordingly. And if there is, and I won't put gold in them, but if there's sterling silver in there, then I will also note that in my listing that, it contains sterling. And if someone writes to me and asks, how many troy ounces or grams or whatever, then of course I will write them back and let them know exactly how much is in there. There's never tons of it. So no one's going to get rich off of it. And most of it will be newer items. So it won't be something that's antique or vintage necessarily. So that's how I deal with costume jewelry junk lots. So when it comes to what I call actual junk lots, and these are to me like miscellaneous variety lots. What I do is, once again, I use my pre-boxing method of, and in this case, I don't line it with plastic, a plastic bag, but what I do is just have an open box, and I usually have 2 to 3 of these going at any given time, simply because of the nature of our projects. We come across so many smalls. Like, if you notice, like what I sell, you'll see that a lot of items are small. But we come across like I said, I can't even tell you the number. It's in the thousands, obviously tens of thousands of items that are small. And a lot of them are still very interesting. They're very usable. They're vintage. They're antique. And obviously some are newer. And so but the thing is, and some people have asked me, like in some of my lots are like, oh, but what about that item? That's such a cool item. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But I already know in my own mind and with my research that, me selling it as an individual item on eBay or any website, and obviously doing private sales outside of eBay or any website such as Craigslist or OfferUp or whatever all these other sites are, and you guys know we use a black book as well. I know that it's definitely not worth my time, my energy, my gas, any of that, to sell these as individual items. So what we will do, as I stated, is start 2, 3 boxes that are going at any given time where we're just dropping items in the box. And then when the box is full, and usually I try to wait until 2 or 3 boxes are full. What I will do, and usually these are I would say the size is equivalent to a medium flat rate. Most of the time we're actually using the regional boxes, the regional A or B. And what I will do once 2 or 3 of those are full is I will then put everything on a table from all of the boxes and go through and resort and check what we have there. So, this lot I'm showing you because it was kind of funny and there's a small story behind it. But ironically, my daughter was helping me go through and sort some boxes out. And, I put all the things in the boxes that are going at that particular time. And this is, I believe, it was a total of like 2 or 3 projects that we worked on. So, stuff from various places, whatever. And plus, there were some things that I just cleaned out of our own inventory. And I did not realize that she had like these sterling silver knives, which are probably, I want to say they're from the 1950s, right here, that those were included in this lot. I did not mean for those to be included in the lot. So this lot actually, was one that we did sell, but the post office damaged the box. So we actually ended up receiving it back. And there's another listing out there, somewhere out there, where we were able to, and actually when I went to the post office, because the box was open, damaged, etc., one of the things that happened is right there a claim was opened, And I actually went into the I don't know if he's a postmaster or whatever, but into his office, and he's like, no, we're gonna do this right now, blah blah blah. And I ended up getting a check for $50 back, even though he was telling me, oh, you can claim $100 because this is insured up to 100. And I was like, no. And it's automatically included, like if you use a priority mail. And I think if you're a top seller, or like, it depends upon your ranking with eBay as well. And so I actually ended up getting $50, as well at from the United States Postal Service, as well as, the sterling silver knives came back home so they could be sold in the future as sterling silver. And I was able to relist all of this stuff and add some other stuff to it. So that was a really bizarre situation with a junk lot, but hey, stuff happens. But in the lot, I'm not going to go over every item that's in there, but there are items that are, like I stated, antique. There's, huge variety, everything from coins, and there's foreign coins. I always try to add one or two of, not one or two, I'd say 2 to 3, maybe even sometimes 4 of my junk silver coins. And I mean, these coins are pure junk. They only have value because of the silver that's in them, or just because someone is like looking to fill an album or whatever. But as far as a collector's coin, like, there's no collector value to it because of the condition. But the value is in the silver, and maybe just in the nostalgia of having such a coin. The other thing I always try to do is add a few, we have like several small antique tools from the Tools and Farm Implement Museum that was decommissioned, that we worked on that project. I think it was like, oh my God, it seems like time flies so fast. That was 2013 or 4. I want to say it's 2013. And to this day, we still have amazing tools that on occasion we list, and lots of small ones that, I definitely throw into junk lots. You'll see that we have lots of Stanley rulers that came out of that. If you look at some of our older listings, you'll see that we had United States Union horse mouth bits, like the fancier ones. They're not super fancy, but the ones that they would have used in the field, or when they, put on their dress outfits, uniforms, whatever, and came back into town. We've had carriage steps, like all sorts of stuff. There were thousands of items. Obviously, if you think of a museum, it's full of thousands of items. This was a small New England museum. So it wasn't like we were cleaning out a Smithsonian, obviously, or their excess inventory. But yeah, so what I've been doing is adding a few of those small items and implements to these various junk lots over the years. So, slowly getting rid of them. But also, I mean, you'll have something as mundane, well, I believe it's mundane, as Coca-Cola magnets. There's like a compact in this one. There's even a little bit of ephemera in this one. So, I just try to make sure there's a variety in the lot. You never know what someone's looking for. We don't try to create a lot to meet someone's needs. We just, put them out there. And these I don't sell the way I sell the jewelry. These I actually sell as individual auctions. So as it says it sold for $39.99. As I said, this was a return, not a return. It was a damaged box that went back to my post office. So we ended up getting $50 for the this stuff, if you will. And also, the shipping and handling is $12.95. And I remember this going out as one of those regional boxes. So I think the actual postage came to somewhere between $9 and $10. So, once again, as I always said, there's nothing wrong with, charging a little bit for handling. And in the condition, it notes that all items are used, vintage, antique, or otherwise. The lots are being sold as is. I don't remember what the rest of my statement is, but it probably says something like, items may be chipped or rusty or whatever. And I still, of course, invite people to ask questions because there's nothing, that's part of the deal. They should be able to ask questions. So here's another lot. And in this one, once again, to me, it's all about the variety. And you can see it's just a mixture of everything. This sounds terrible, but it's kind of funny. I like this one actually has a couple knives in it that actually need some work as far as getting them to shine up, polish up, whatever. But what I'm laughing at is, which can I zoom? Let's see if I can zoom over it. Zoom, damn you. There you go. If you could see this spoon, I just didn't feel like testing it for silver, and look at it. My God, it so needs to be polished. So I was like, you know what? I'm throwing that into this junk lot. And it wasn't, I did look up the maker. It wasn't like anything special. So what I did is threw it in my junk lot. So that's another thing. If you find that there are items that are, they're okay with value, but they don't have any excessive value or anything, then that's another way to save time, is because your time is money. Do you want to throw it in a junk lot, or do you want to polish it up and sell this one spoon for $8.99 plus $2.99 shipping and handling? If you're lucky, it'll sell for $8.99, or and who knows how many times you'll have to relist it. Even though they have that good till sold or whatever, you could use that. I use that all the time. So that's another possibility to save time, but I'm always looking at, time and value, that kind of thing. We follow what we call, and I actually am certified in the lean process. I was certified, I believe it was in 2006. And before I retired, from being a director. So, I use a lot of those philosophies in my work with my eBay account. Well, actually I have two accounts, but that's fine. Here, this lot actually sold for $42.99 and $12.95 shipping and handling. And so one of the questions probably in anyone's mind is, why is this lot, I charged just a little bit more than the previous lot? Honestly, just opinions. My opinion was that this lot had items in it that were a little bit better than the other lot. Like, for example, I have a lot of people that buy pocket knives from me, and I don't sell pocket knives normally that are in the condition of these. So usually they're in better condition. This pocket knife, the bottom one, is pretty super duper incredibly common. So that was, but one of the reasons why is that there were two pocket knives in there. Also, like I said, this spoon might be actual sterling silver. I did not test it. I'm not sure. It did not say sterling on it. It didn't say plated, but the maker is a sterling silver company, from back in that era. So I made an assumption. Also, I added, I think there's a few more coins in this lot than the other. This is also a great venue for getting rid of wheat pennies. So if you have a bunch of wheat pennies that are not in great condition, or they're not dates or anything that's super duper incredibly important, or the pennies are literally worth 2 cents, 3 cents each, as many of them are, that, I actually add them to my junk lots as well. And I always put my coins in separate bags so that they're not just floating around the box. That's why you see the yellow in the background. And I think that was really like the only reason I charged a little bit more for this. So, I do think about like what's going into the lot. I don't obsess over it. But so far so good on selling these lots. Like I said, we've been doing them for a while, and I only will do them when I feel like I have enough stuff that makes sense. So in this lot, I actually, and normally I don't do this, but I actually have this, I think this is Red Wing pottery vase. And these are pretty super like you could go out on eBay right now and probably find like 200 of these. I'm making that up. I don't know the exact number, but I know there's a lot of them. Actually, I should show you a picture you can actually see better. But the Red Wing pottery vase, and the reason what I said is I don't usually do this. Usually I don't add those to lots. I usually don't add pottery to lots unless it's like little tiny like figurines. And that's just because I don't want to deal with like it's broken, it's chipped, and the only thing I wanted was this like vase. But of course, just like anything else, whenever we ship out lots, and the reason I saved this one to show you is we still like package items that go into the junk box. We do not wrap and separately package every single item that goes into the box. So, for example, in this lot, what the things that would have been like wrapped in bubble wrap or paper, and definitely bubble wrap is with the medium sized bubbles is usually what we use. This vase, of course, would have been one of those items. The other thing we do is if we have sharp items, those are always wrapped and the points are always protected, just in case they make a hole in the box or damage something else, such as these antique scissors. As I stated already, coins already always go into their own separate bags. You can see another one there. There's a huge pair of shears that are partially covered that you can't see. There you go. These actually came from that museum. They still have the museum's tag on it. And then there's a knife back here that was actually made in England. So those items actually get separately wrapped, and they get, put inside of a paper that's sort of like a butcher's paper, so it's hard and tough to get through. Then they're bubble wrapped, and then they're put inside of the overall box. So everything ships in one box. And then, of course, this is a porcelain item that's from the Popeye, the Sailor Man series. So, of course, with that being a pottery item, that's also going to get wrapped. So, whenever you do these, you still have to be aware of that. And plus, I think it's a respect thing versus saying, look, we know these are junk lots, but just because they're junk lots, it doesn't mean that we should not properly package them versus just throwing the stuff in a box, taping it up, and sending it out. Plus, you don't want that jiggle. Like if you could get rid of any noise when it's being shipped, that's always better. This particular lot sold for $42.99, $16.95 for shipping and handling. So you can see I added like $4 or whatever to the shipping and handling, simply because there were more items that I had to, do some individual wrapping with. So the more work we do, obviously we compensate for that. And once again, people have choices as to whether or not they want to buy your items. So those are some of my tips on, selling junk lots, and, some of the things you should be aware of, a few of the things that you should definitely do. And also you can see there are a great variety of things that you could put into a junk lot. One of the things I didn't mention, I don't believe, I think I did at the very, very beginning, is sometimes items are brand new in the package. Like in this lot, there's like 2 items that are brand new. Actually, there's 3. This horse belt buckle. So there's a few items that are new whether they're new old stock or vintage stock or brand new, like this stapler was from a project that we did. Like, why get rid of a totally good stapler when you could just put into a junk lot? You just want to think about what you're putting in your lots. But once again, you're not going to like make $1 million on your lots. So don't waste a lot of time sitting there wondering if you should list a stapler, a standard regular stapler separately, or if you should put it in a lot. You should already have enough knowledge, or if you're learning, that's a totally different thing. That's good that you're watching this video, and hopefully you'll watch, a few other videos to and also do a lot of research to realize what sells well as an individual item and is worth your time and money versus what does not sell well, or even if it sells, you'll make so little on it, it won't be worth the effort. And junk lots are a great alternative to that. So the other thing to think about when you're selling junk lots online is, just imagine if you had a tag sale, or if you're using a ridiculous number of hours to prep, pack, do a flea market, pack everything up, take it back home, unpack it again. How much money are you really going to make at a flea market? Like, unless you have amazing items that are priced to sell, you're not going to make that much. And the stuff that you think is amazing isn't probably at the flea market with you. But I do know a couple of guys who do flea markets. They do clean outs. So when they do a flea market, they really do have great things, and they really do price to sell. As I stated in previous videos, we don't go to the flea market that often, but we know two guys, well, they're two separate companies, but two guys that do the flea market like 2 or 3 times a year. We try to be there when they're there because we know that they do cleanouts. We know that they just want the stuff to go. They do not want to pack anything back up in their trucks. And so therefore you can get a great deal. And mostly they do bag, like fill a bag for $5 or fill a box for $5. They do that type of thing. So in their case, them selling stuff like this at a flea market is awesome. But for you, most people, I should say, to do that same thing and try to sell all of these things spread out on a table, on the ground, which I really hate when people do that, or on racks, or however you set up a flea market and hope that someone's going to come by and pick up all these little tiny things and buy them, they're going to pay very little for it. So by the time you're done, you could have simply have created box lots, sold them online for just as much money, if not more, than you would have made at a flea market or tag sale. And you would have done it in a fraction of the time. Whenever I do my junk lots, it's such a little amount of time. From the time that we do so we sort everything, to the time these things are listed, and we don't take, we take just maybe 5 or 6 pictures. I think we use like probably 6 or 7 at the most. And usually we just try to take pictures in sections. So that's one of the things I could show you. So they'll be like this section, that's the back section. This is, the left or right side. I think that's the right side. This is an item that you should probably pay more attention to because it has a number on it. I don't know if and I actually, for the knife, because I thought that was like the best thing in this lot, we actually took, a few extra pictures that normally I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, these last 5 pictures wouldn't even exist. But because of the knife, and people were asking questions about it, I added those to the listing. But normally we do like 5 or 6 pictures, and that takes seconds. I actually made a copy of it, so I have a template of it, so I never have to go in and retype every word. There's only a couple words that might change, and obviously always paying attention to the condition. Then you might have to change the price or your shipping amounts. Excuse me. And from I would say from beginning to end, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to create the listing. So just like I said, imagine if you were doing, a tag sale or a flea market, it would take you a lot longer. Obviously, you're talking days and hours, to get rid of this stuff. If you even get rid of it, it may be stuff that you keep carrying over and over and over again until you finally just get sick of it and donate it. But doing junk lots online, like I said, is a great alternative to that. It saves you time, it saves you money, it saves you materials. Obviously, if you're using the worldwide listing, or even if you're just selling in the United States only, just imagine how many more eyes are seeing your items versus people walking through a sale. So it's something I think that everyone should try. You can do clothing lots as junk lots. I've seen a lot of people do that, especially with children's clothes that are the same size and sex. I've done that with children's books because those sell really well in lots sometimes. We just did a lot of golden books, and that lot, I'm going from memory, but I think it sold for like $60, 60 plus dollars. That including the shipping and handling on that, which I believe was like $4 or $5. So we come across those a lot. So what we do is we have a bookshelf that's in our eBay room. And what we do is when the bookshelf is full, we know that there's approximately 50 to maybe 60 books there, and we will sell them in a lot. So, there's a lot of things that you can sell in a lot. Just like I said, be aware of, for example, if you're selling a lot of things that are knockoffs, no one wants a knockoff, even if it's in a junk lot. Plastic, really cheap, import stuff from certain countries. They're selling the same exact thing. So you also want to be aware of that. But mostly, like if you're doing projects, cleaning out your own house, if you are, people are bringing you stuff or whatever the case may be, then, or if you, like I said, have had things that you've listed, and I would not immediately unlist the items and then put them into junk lots. What I would do is I would what I would do instead is I would save those for a few months at least. And in a few months, go ahead and list them as, together as a junk lot. Because people who follow you, they're going to know. Like if you just unlisted something and a week later it shows up in a junk lot. And sometimes they may even wait for that to happen because they're like, why should I pay for this as an individual item when eventually it's going to go into your junk lot? So have fun listing your junk lots. I hope that everyone who watches this video at least tries it. If you guys have any questions, please leave us, some comments below or contact us via email. If you would give us a thumbs up, we'd appreciate it. And please, yes, subscribe to the Velvet. We disconnected for a second. That was pretty good though, because my friend on YouTube, Megan Fox, she was having connection issues at one point and it was really bad, but thank God they fixed it and now she doesn't have those issues. But please remember to subscribe to the Velvet Lounge on YouTube. We really appreciate it. And soon we are going to have a giveaway up for the summer. So all the details will be coming out on that pretty soon. And happy selling!